Hello, good afternoon viewers. This is your host Himanshu Nirban and you are welcome to my channel The Indian Valor, and today we are joined by one of our special guests who was a retired Indian Army captain. His name is Mr. Ganesh Karnik sir. Sir had joined the Indian Army Field Regiment in 1981 and he had served at different places in India including Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern areas of India which include Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam, and Sikkim. Other than that, after retiring from the Indian Army from the post of captain in 1988, Sir had joined a local industrial group in Karnataka that was known by Malite Group in 1989. After that, Sir had also served with Nitya Education Group, which is being headed by Mr. Prakash Hegde of Karnataka. Sir had served at different positions as a director, either in the school or in college of Nitya Education Group. In the year 2006, Sir was nominated by the Karnataka State Legislative Council for being selected as a member of Karnataka Legislative Council from in the year 2006 on the ticket of Bharatiya Janata Party. Sir had served from 2006 to 2012. After that, after seeing the honorary work of Ganesh Karnik sir, Sir was given a second chance by the local Southwest teachers constituency seat people, and he was again selected in the year 2012 and he completed his second term on 18th of June 2018. Other than that, Sir has been writing for different newspapers of India, and other than that, Sir has been a very good defense analyst, and he is representing Indian Army in the various local TV news channels of Karnataka and India. And other than that, Sir had served as a director of NIRI Forum of Karnataka on his behalf as a director of NRI Forum. Sir had represented India in various nations and he has represented and as a member in many seminars where he had given logical answers to questions who were raised against India. And Sir had been a very good social activist and social worker in which Sir had served for various local Karnataka uh, groups who are serving in Bangalore and in Udupi and in Bhavnagar in other Davangere districts for the social reforms. So, sir, you are welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. So, sir, today our show is being conducted on the Pakistan and China evil nexus that is working against India in today's scenario. So, sir, me and my viewers would like to know a few questions and
Okay.
your views regarding like what are the issues that are going to hamper the security and peace in India. So, sir, my first question to you is that how do you see the evil nexus of China and Pakistan working against India in different internal issues? Like recently only there was an riot in Delhi on 26th of January 2021 where a mob vandalized the public property and they attacked the Red Fort also, and the rampage went on for 2 hours, and many cultural and heritage monuments were being destroyed in that particular Red
Yeah.
Fort campus.
Yes.
And later on, the Delhi police find out that these protesters were being supported by some of the groups that are being supported from the back end by Pakistan's ISI, Inter-Service Public ISI, Inter-Service Intelligence, and few
Yes.
of the Khalistani groups that are being situated in Karnataka, like the Six for Justice and other groups.
Yeah.
So, how do you see all this involvement in this Indian political scenario?
Um, Himanshu, thank you for this wonderful opportunity and raising a very, very important issue which has a large impact on the national security. So, I really thank you for raising this issue. To look at China and Pakistan and the nexus between these two countries
Mm.
should be looked at from a historical perspective.
Yes, sir.
India is a very respected democracy, a very mature democracy, and world over, India is respected for that. Now,
Mm.
please try to find out or answer, do you see democracy in Pakistan since its inception, 1947?
No, sir.
Do you see democracy in China since its inception?
Hmm.
So, two authoritarian states, two rogue states,
Hmm.
two states where human rights are crushed, who those two states where humanity is not taken in seriously.
Yes, sir.
A state where since its inception, it is the armed forces, that too rogue armed forces, which is having dictating terms on the national issues. I mean, I'm referring to Pakistan. Now, you cannot expect anything better than this from these two states. Fortunately or unfortunately, they are our neighbors. We
Hmm.
cannot select our neighbors. We can select our friends, but we cannot select our neighbors. This is what Honorable Prime Minister Vajpayee mentioned about it.
Hmm.
So we have to learn to live with them.
Yes, sir.
So since Mr. Modi came to power, his idea of international relations is based on a simple two-word fact that nation first.
Hmm.
Whatever we do in terms of establishing international relations, it is always nation first policy.
Hmm.
India, like I said before, is a very mature democracy. It doesn't mean that we will take everything lying low. Now, in last 7, 8 years since Modi came into power, the equations, international equations
Hmm.
between India and Pakistan, between India and China, between India and many other neighborhood states have changed.
Yes, sir.
India has grown in a substantial way in terms of quality education, in terms of quality infrastructure, in terms of
Hmm.
quality economy, in terms of many aspects of our civic society has improved immensely. Today, in 7 years' time, our Honorable Prime Minister has become a global leader
Yes,
of
sir.
a repute. It is just not global leader of repute, of credence, of credibility, of mutual respect, of acceptance. India has become a global player. India's voice is being heard more seriously. The diaspora, which is present in almost every state, every country in the world, is a respected
Sir.
diaspora. They have immensely contributed towards that respective state where they are working. But this is not the case with regard to Pakistan. This is
Hmm.
not the case with regard to China. Pakistan is seen as a rogue state. Pakistan is seen as a state which sponsors terrorism. Pakistan is seen as a state which is in deep financial crisis from where they cannot get out. Pakistan is seen as a state where their democracy is manipulated and maneuvered by the ISI and the defense forces.
Yes, sir.
So, this is the scenario. Now, Jammu and Kashmir issue, which was kept burning with this Article 370 special provision,
Hmm.
was something which was in favor of Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
Pakistan could take away the minds of its own common citizens from the mundane problems the people faced by referring to Kashmir issue.
Hmm.
So Mr. Modi has called it a day. He has taken out that draconian Article 370 and Article 35A, which has ensured that Jammu and Kashmir state, which is an integral part of our country, has joined the mainstream. It has become part and parcel of our country. And things are, or normalcy is being seen in the last about 6 to 8 months since the removal of Article 370. Quietly, peace is coming back, development is started taking place, and people are happy with the decision, and people are very eagerly and willingly participate in the democratic process.
Hmm.
Similarly, after post COVID, after the COVID menace in the world, the China being the root cause, and China's expansionist radicalism. China wants to expand in the global, in global arena. They want to become the superpower.
Yes, sir.
So they have a very radical, something like a radical Islam that we're talking of. In
Hmm.
the modern day economic terms, if I'm permitted to say, China's radical expansionist policy is not appreciated world over. China is being cornered. Now, two enemies with a similar intent of defaming India, having a supremacy over India, or trying to find excuses for their failure in their respective countries have come together. They have come with an understanding. China wants a free access to Ghazar port through Karakoram and Pakistan to improve their expansionist ideology, because the Southeast Asian seas, starting from India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Burma, Thailand, Malaysia, and all these places, China wanted to have supremacy. But Mr. Modi's deft handling of the relations in Southeast Asia has ensured that they all have fallen in line with India's thinking and are not allowing China to have its dominance in the Southeast Asian Sea. So, China is an export country, you know it. Their economy depends on supplying the world requirement. Their manufacturing facility is so designed that instead of catering to the local requirement, they cater to the requirement of the world. So, if they have to supply their produce world over, they need a free access and they wanted a free passage through Southeast Asian seas. So,
Hmm.
that is being questioned now. India, Australia, Japan, America, Singapore, Indonesia, and South Korea, we all have a large presence there now. So, they were planning a much better passage via Karakoram, Pakistan, and the Ghazar port, and then to far west. So, these are being questioned now. India is asserting as a nation. India has a different country. India has a different leader together today. India did not improve its logistics along the eastern border and border adjacent to China during the past 30, 40, 50 years.
Yes,
After
sir.
1962 debacle, we did not learn lessons. But after Modi took over as the prime minister, the access to borders adjoining China has been brought up. Bridges have been built. All weather class 1 roads have been built. Airports have been improved. We have developed missile technology where we can go up to 5,000 kilometers, which is called as intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Yes, sir.
So, from all these perspective, India is getting out of its old conservative style and becoming a global leader of acceptance and respect. So this is not tolerated by Pakistan and China. They've come together.
Hmm.
Now, in India, we have three things. In a democratic country, these three things are available, but in India, it is predominantly present. What are these things? We have a free speech. Anybody can today go to some place and start shouting against Mr. Modi or president or anybody for that matter.
Yes,
We
sir.
have free speech. Second thing is we have free press. Whatever is the development policy of Modi's government, the press can write columns and columns and columns against it. The free press is available and they can express their views.
Hmm.
Third is we have a free market where anybody can come and dump the goods after paying the excise or whatever is the government restriction. They can flood the market. We don't have tariff barriers. We don't have a restricted market. We don't have. We have a free market.
Hmm.
China, in their expansionist policy, have used these three things: free speech, free press, and free market as a military strategy. It is just not, a political strategy, but a military strategy. In the sense, to come and disturb the Indian nation, they have impregnated the free speech area, they have impregnated the free press area, and they have dumped lots of Chinese goods into the market. That's why these days there is a call for banning Chinese good. Don't use the crackers made in China. Don't use the toys made in China. This is the kind of talk we have been listening to. Of course, there is a national interest. Now, China has impregnated, or they have come into this space where free speech, free press, and free market makes them a free act, gives them a free access. You go to universities, there are academicians who are talking against India. You go to press, you see the panel. There are people who are supposed to be intellectuals and all kinds of so and so. They talk against India, Indian policy. They talk against Modi. So the free press, free speech, and free market is a strategy used by the Chinese government, not only in India, world over, by buying people who are anti-Modi or anti-government, anti-establishment, and through them create a kind of a scene in the public domain that everything is not fine in the country. So Pakistan has a failing state, as a failing state, has its own interest in keeping the border hot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to satisfy their army, to satisfy their ISI, to satisfy the separatist elements in Pakistan, they have to keep fingering India. So it serves their purpose. China is losing its its credibility globally. So they are not very happy. And Chinese market is facing a lot of problem because of the losing confidence by the Western world. So they are no more enjoying the kind of dominance they enjoyed about a year ago or 2 years ago. So they have come together and India is prepared. The way we handled the Galvan Valley issue, the way we handled the Doklama issue, the way we handled the Pakistan issue by giving it back to them in the surgical strike and the surgical cycle at Balakot and Pulwama attack. So we have sent the lessons. It is not the India of 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. It is India under Prime Minister Modi, and India is much stronger and more respected world over. So what you said is very true. Now, this being the reality, Pakistan and China, ISI or Chinese elements, have tried to impregnate this farmer protest and create unrest within the country.
Hmm.
They have tried to bring in an element of violence into this peaceful protest. They want to defame the present government because Pakistan and China, their biggest enemy today is Modi. If there were to be a Congress government, they would have been very happy because Congress party has signed an agreement with Communist Party of
Yes.
China, and Congress party's leader Rahul Gandhi has no shame in going and joining hands with the Chinese, ambassador and embassy people, and then having private negotiations without any authority. So they are very comfortable with such people. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 5 according to them. So I've tried to meddle into the affairs of India
Hmm.
through entering into a peaceful protest where innocent and ignorant farmers are misguided and misinformed have joined the hands. So no sooner than later the farmers will understand the sinister design and they'll get out of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, my next question to you is regarding the vaccine diplomacy that India is providing to the whole world. Like under Mr. Narendra Modi ji's campaign for a vaccine program to the world countries,
Yeah.
generally it is been seen that the neighboring countries of India, including
Okay.
Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar,
Yes.
Afghanistan, Maldives, all these are
Yes.
getting doses for of this COVID shield. So on
Yes.
the other hand, Pakistan is not able to get all these vaccines program, and their government are unable to provide these COVID shield vaccines to them,
Yeah.
and they are taking this vaccine from the Chinese companies whose credibility is not up to the 50% in the market
Yes.
right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
So how do you think, sir, that this COVID vaccine diplomacy can work for Pakistan also? Because Pakistan is denying the help of Indian vaccination program, and they are saying that we don't need the help of Kafirs. So how do
Yeah.
you see these particular issues are in Pakistan?
Uh, Internationally, you can call it as vaccine diplomacy.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
You must be remembering our Honorable Prime Minister quoting Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam again and again in different speeches.
Yes, sir.
So, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the principle found by our forefathers.
Hmm.
The whole shloka goes like this: Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Ayam Nija Paroveti Gananam Laghu Chetasam. Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. For those of us whose character is noble, whose thinking is very open, whole world is a family. So India is a very mature democracy, not from 1947 onwards. Even from pre-ancestral days, from the time immemorial, India has looked at the entire world as a family. India is the only civilization in the world, entire world, where we did not resort to violence to take over another country. We always went and had joined hands with them only on knowledge base, nothing else.
Hmm.
So this, I would say, age-old Indian diplomacy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the true bedrock on which this vaccine diplomacy is developed.
Yes, sir.
Now, our neighborhood, every country in the neighborhood, be it Bangladesh, be it Pakistan, be it Sri Lanka, be it Burma, be it Afghanistan, be it Maldives, or any of these countries, they have their own problems.
Hmm.
Vaccine has troubled them. The kind of problems we face, they are also facing.
Okay.
And we are a country with much larger access to resources, much larger, much better access to research and development. And Indian pharmaceutical industry is a global industry now and a
Hmm.
much respected industry. So, according to Indian philosophy, Indian wisdom, we should share our knowledge, we should share our bountiful blessings of the nature with our neighborhood. Knowing fully their difficulties, India, like a very, I would use the word, good Samaritan, we say, no, good people or a good neighborhood person, we are sharing our research and development activity in producing the vaccine free of cost with these neighboring countries, knowing fully well that they are all our own brethren. They may be living in different countries, but
Hmm.
they are like our own brethren. So we are sharing that. Where they need help, India is extending help. This is the new diplomacy started by our honorable Prime Minister. When he became the Prime Minister for the first time, the first visit was to Bhutan, a very tiny country, very small country. I should not use the word insignificant, but in the world scenario, Bhutan is not even seen, not heard. But
Yes, sir.
a country like India, on priority, visits Bhutan. This is the diplomacy Mr. Modi has exhibited.
Hmm.
So I think by extending a helping hand to neighborhood people, neighborhood countries, by
Hmm.
sharing our research and development and the product of research and development in managing COVID catastrophe, by sharing the vaccine with them free of cost, is a wonderful gesture. We all should be very proud and we all should be welcome this move. Okay. The
Yes, sir.
second part is Pakistan.
Hmm.
Pakistan is too busy in their destructive work. They
Yes.
have no concern for the people of their own country. In
Hmm.
Balochistan, we have problem. In so-called Gilgit Kashmir, we have problems. All the Muslims who went to Pakistan thinking that this is a country founded on our religion, so we'll have much a better place. And they migrated from India to Pakistan in large numbers in 1947. They are being treated as second-class citizens. They are called as Mohajirs. They're not even taken as Pakistanis.
Hmm.
Then in Pakistan, after partition, a small section of Hindus, Sikhs, and then Jains and Christians remained there. There were 22% people living in that country in 1947, minorities.
Yes,
Today,
sir.
they don't even come within 0.5%. They have been either massacred or converted. So
Hmm.
Pakistan has major domestic issues. Their economy is in doldrums. They don't have any economic activity to ensure that they can stand on their own legs. So if Pakistan wants little help from us in terms of vaccine, I think our country is willing and we are capable to look after the people of Pakistan.
Hmm.
Pakistan government, Pakistan ISI, Pakistan leaders and Pakistan army, they may not be happy with India because of their own shortcomings. But Pakistan, poor people in Pakistan are suffering. They're in our neighborhood.
Hmm.
So, in their interest, we have sympathy with them, we have empathy for them, and India is willing to give vaccine to Pakistan also if they're willing to take. Okay?
Yes, sir. So, sir, my next question to you is regarding the terrorist outfits in Pakistan. In the recent week, we had heard a news that the killer of Daniel Pearl, who was an American journalist, being murdered in Pakistan,
Yeah.
uh, and they had been freed by their Supreme Court. So, sir, how do you see all this terrorist heaven in Pakistan generally?
See, like I said in my answering your earlier question,
Hmm.
you have a sham democracy in Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
Namesake, there are institutions. There is Supreme Court, there is a parliament, there are elections, and all kinds of uh, you know democratic institutions. They are existing. But
Hmm.
time military has taken over. How many premiers or prime ministers have been murdered in that country? So all that is happening in Pakistan is under the directions of fundamentalist, separatist, ISI, which is dominated by a clergy of that particular faith, where they dominate the entire process of democracy.
Yes, sir.
Now, you should understand this. So, whether it is elected government, whether it is Supreme Court, whether it is armed forces of Pakistan, they cannot assert themselves unless they fall in line with the Maulvis and people who are religious preachers of that particular faith.
Yes, sir.
Democracy in Pakistan is a sham. So once in a blue moon, the Supreme Court may pass orders about arresting the person who was responsible for the attacks. Otherwise, in Pakistan, democracy is a sham. It's a rogue state.
Yes, sir. So, sir, regarding this particular issue only, my next question to you is what is the change of views in the recent years after Mr. Modi has taken into the prime ministership of India?
Yeah.
Why the Arab countries are not looking after Pakistan? They are looking after India in relations.
Anybody, any responsible country,
Yes,
any
sir.
responsible leader will understand the truth very fast. Now, global terrorism hub, it is in Pakistan. They have understood this.
Yes, sir.
The Arab countries have always supported Pakistan in terms of extending financial help, extending advances, all kinds of things they have done.
Hmm.
But they have realized that money that they have given for the development of common people in Pakistan is being abused by Pakistan to promote terrorism not only against India but all over the world.
Yes, sir.
And they have been responsible for creating shelter for the internationally acclaimed terrorists.
Hmm.
So I think among the Arabian Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, they have
Hmm.
realized the truth. They have understood the role of Pakistan as a rogue state, as an irresponsible state in funding and promoting terrorism world over. So that is why I think, and they have also understood that even though Mr. Modi was projected as a right wing fanatic and Hindu leader and all kinds of things, they
Hmm.
have realized that Mr. Narendra Modi ji is a very respectable leader, a global leader, and a leader who is looking ahead for the world welfare, welfare of the entire world. And they have understood that his concern is very genuine. And for a change, in such Muslim countries, he is being welcomed, he is being honored with the highest award, and on
Sir.
his request, the Gulf countries are permitting our Hindu community there to build temples. Could you
Hmm.
imagine this happening in the Gulf countries now? It
Yes,
is
sir.
only because the Gulf countries have developed interest, developed respect for our country under the able leadership of Narendra Modi ji. So this has reflected in distancing Pakistan,
Hmm.
which the Arab countries used to do it earlier. I personally feel that is the reason.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, second most importantly,
Hmm.
India is emerging as a global economic power,
Yes, sir.
and they have money, I would use the word excess money, which they want to invest in some country. So
Hmm.
India is giving them opportunity to bring in investments to our country. India has 135 crore people. It's a huge population, and it's a peaceful country. There is democracy in this country, and there is accountability and responsibility. So any investor, global investor, will feel comfortable investing money in India. If you invest in Russia tomorrow, Russia
Hmm.
is a communist country, autocratic country. They will
Yes,
simply
sir.
say, close your shop and go get lost.
Hmm.
And they don't respect any international institution. In Pakistan, if you invest tomorrow, what is going to happen under ISI, nobody knows. The whole thing can be blasted. Whereas India is a very peaceful country, there is a very established, responsible democratic system, and there are institutions, democratic institutions, which are respected world over. So people have more faith and people have more respect for Indian democracy, and they are changing their approach towards India.
Yes, sir. So my next question to you is regarding the ridiculous this 5 February day, which is being celebrated in Pakistan. So, sir, how do you see this day significance in Pakistan's history? Because in India, a normal person doesn't know that what is the significance of 5 February in Pakistan. And as per to our research, we find out that it is being celebrated in the support of Kashmiri people from the Pakistani side. So, we
See,
think that's, yeah. How do you see,
in
sir,
a
this
okay,
celebration?
in a democracy,
Hmm.
there are differing views of different communities and different people. India is a very diverse country.
Yes, sir.
In Kashmir, after independence or after the division of our country as West Pakistan, East Pakistan, and India, there were some ticklish issues. Over the years, because of invasion during those 800 to 1000 years from the Western Front,
Hmm.
the communities living in Jammu and Kashmir state were converted over a period of time.
Yes, sir.
Even and Kashmir was considered as the cradle of knowledge system of India.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it became a Muslim majority state. It's a fact.
Yes, sir.
India became independent and Kashmir became a part of India.
Hmm.
Pakistan, which which went away from India, which got a share of their this thing based on religion, based on a faith, they had sinister design to incorporate Kashmir also into their state
Hmm.
from those days only.
Yes, sir.
So that desire to incorporate Kashmir into their state went on for a long time. And immediately after independence, there was a war on India. The same army which was divided into Pakistan army and Indian army, like backstabbing, without any notice, they invaded Kashmir.
Yes, sir.
But for Nehru, our army would have sent them back. The generals demanded, please give us some time.
Hmm.
They have
Sir.
illegally occupied certain portion of our land. Give us time to drive them away back to their own position, and then we will negotiate. But Nehru, what he was, he declared ceasefire, and even today,
I would
the
like to
so-called
stop you, sir, for a little bit moment. Like,
yes,
is it true that the Army General Mr. Karyappa had
yes,
asked Mr. Nehru just to wait for 13 more days until we clear all the
yes.
Pakistani occupants?
I did not use the name, but yes, it was General Timaya who
Hmm.
said he was commanding that sector, and he said, "Give us a fortnight's time. We'll drive them away." But
Hmm.
this prime minister of ours did not have the patience to listen to our army commanders, and
Yes.
today we are suffering. Even today we are suffering. A major portion of our land, which is called as Pakistan occupied Kashmir (POK), is still with them. Forget about it. It's a history, and we have to accept, and we have to find solution for that.
Yes, sir.
But that issue, the Pakistan has not reconciled.
Hmm.
Pakistan still believes that Kashmir belongs to them and will somehow take it back, or they'll keep this Kashmir issue burning so
Hmm.
that the domestic issues will be forgotten by the people.
Okay.
All right. So they are observing February 5th as Kashmir Day just to provoke the sentiments of local people and Kashmiri people. It
Hmm.
has no significance. World over, no one sees it as a Kashmir Day. So it is for their domestic issues and to satisfy a certain section of divisive and fundamentalist groups. They are doing this. So India doesn't take it seriously at all, and India has grown much stronger. And today they can't take us lightly. So
Yes.
Pakistan observing February 5th as a particular day is an insignificant celebration within their state.
Hmm.
In their own interest, it is better they learn lessons from the past. In their own interest, they seriously bother about their own domestic problems. In their own way, they seriously address the issue of economic underdevelopment. In their own way, they become a modern state from a fundamentalist, separatist, Kargi based, faith based, religion based state to a modern democratic state. In their own interest, they start respecting international institutions. So it
Yes.
is for them to decide. India is not a country who will go and demolish them. We will not do that. But
Hmm.
if they have sinister design to create disturbance in the within the country, uh, they must realize that India is a capable country managing any kind of subversive action, any kind of infiltration, any kind of sinister design they have. We are capable, and that has been taught to them in the recently conducted surgical strike. They know it better than any one of us. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so I don't think we should give any serious thought to Pakistan celebrating this February 5th or whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So my next and last question to you is regarding to the Chinese invasion in Ladakh. So
Hmm.
how do you see, is there a possibility of action from the Chinese end after the winter ends in May and June?
Well, the Chinese aggression and occupation of a small portion of Ladakh, which is called as Aksai Chin,
Hmm.
is a very sad story of the Nehru regime.
Yes, sir.
Nehru regime, during Nehru's prime ministership, he believed more than required as a premier that China is going to be a good friend.
Hmm.
And he strongly believed that they will never do it, even against the advice made by his own colleagues in the cabinet.
Yes, sir.
He talked about Hindi chini bhai bhai. They will
Hmm.
never do anything of that kind. He believed. When Taiwan, whose name was proposed for the Security Council in what do you call first this United Nations offered that security permanent security membership to India. Like
Hmm.
a idiot, he said no. China is a bigger country, so please give it to China. When Taiwan, UN did not agree with the China because China initially 1950s it was a occupied government, and the premier went back to Taiwan seeking refugee. So
Hmm.
UN gave respect to and recognition to Taiwan. So they offered it to Taiwan. It is India which refused. Please give it to Chinese government, communist government.
Yes,
So
sir.
India was the first country to recognize the Chinese government in China. So
Hmm.
we did blunders. We did blunders in that that period. In 1962, they backstabbed us. They invaded us. We were not prepared. Our army was not prepared. Our army was not equipped with the kind of clothing, kind of equipment which is required to fight in the high altitude.
Hmm.
So we lost certain tracts of land, which is Aksai Chin. And like in Doklam, where you have issues, we did not lose much land there, but we still have the issues.
Yes, sir.
So your question is, will you take it back? I'm a soldier. I'll tell yes, I want to take it back. I will take it back.
Hmm.
When? We have to wait and see. When is, I don't think we can take it back by launching a war on China. We
Hmm.
need to take it back by becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and become a world leader. And with our power, with our economic power, with our international pressure, we should be able to take it back. We should also give justice to Tibet, which was illegally occupied by the Chinese, where Tibetans are fighting for their natural justice. So there are a lot of issues concerning our border with China, and these issues will be sorted out. India is going to address all these issues in the coming years, but it takes time. India has to become a superpower, economic power, global acceptance as a world leader. All this should happen over a period of time under Narendra Modi ji's leadership. I think we are going on the right track. No sooner than later, India will have the power to dictate terms globally.
Yes.
Okay.
So regarding this thing only, I had asked the particular question that sir, this Chinese army is going to attack the Indian army in the May in this year at the time of May or June because the snow melts and all those paths will be cleared.
Yeah.
Is it possible,
Yeah.
sir?
See, some of you think,
Hmm.
sorry to say this, that China is creating problem only recently.
Okay.
Ever since we had problems in 1962, all along Chinese border,
Hmm.
since it is not a very demarcated border, it is called as line of actual control. There is no fence, there is no demarcating line, there is no wall built between China and Pakistan. It is an imaginary kind of a thing.
Hmm.
So we say this is our place and they say it is their place. Until as responsible states, we say this is our place, unless as responsible states, please come. unless as a responsible state, we sit together and decide what is the international boundary, we will have small issues which have been happening since 1962. The Galvan Valley issue, and last year, 1.5 year, 2 years ago, the Doklam issue caught the imagination of the media. I have served in Doklam Valley for 3 years. I know the place. It is very near to North border. And I don't say we fought with Chinese, but we had these issues. They coming and trying to throw a couple of stones this side or keeping it that side, and we going and negotiating it. And we came to an understanding that we will not use arms. So it used to be pushing with the hand and things you've seen in TV and media and all that. So
Yes,
this
sir.
has been happening. So what happened in Galvan Valley and what happened 2 years ago in Doklam is a continued irritation which India has been suffering for decades. But this time they got it back nice and proper.
Hmm.
And we have sent a signal that India is not the same old India under the Congress rule. It is a different rule and we have a different commander in chief. And any aggression will be answered equally or maybe with the addition. So this is the kind of message we have been able to send. So will it stop forever? No, it will. They will keep, irritating us along the border. Will they stop? Will the Pakistanis stop irritating us? They will continue to do it. They will
Hmm.
not learn lessons. They did not learn lessons in 1965. They did not learn lessons after 1971. They did not learn lessons after the Balakot and Pulwama. So they're a rogue state. Like China is an autocratic state. It is a communist state. So they will not learn lessons so easily. So India option available is strengthen your border, strengthen your armed forces, make it most modern, and don't hesitate to spend money on defense procurements, and don't hesitate to develop your own indigenous technology. And we should look after ourselves. We will not depend on what China is going to do, what Pakistan is going to do. We will ensure that India will give a befitting reply. And that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is the vision Mr. Modi has. Okay.
So thank you very much, sir, for giving us your precious time. And we hope, sir, our journey continues and there
Yes.
will be another shows in the upcoming
Yep.
future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dhanyawad. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.